looks like right now, the way you guys are racking up wins, and you're not just winning, you're playing really crisp hockey all the way around. What's the feeling like right now?
Vibe's great in the locker room. I think guys are excited. They're happy with how we're playing. I think our biggest thing has just been consistent defense. I think we're not giving up a whole lot of great chances for the other team, and especially when we go on the road like the last weekend in Manitoba, there's not a whole lot happening offensively, but you just stick with it. When you get your chances, make sure you're scoring, and obviously we've had great special teams. Power play and penalty kill both been very good. So, if you got those and you're all working hard, you're going to have good chances every night.
Speaking of Manitoba, obviously a difficult place to play. It's a bit further away than some of the other Central Division rivals, but to get the doubleheader sweep over the weekend, what does that say about where this team is at and what their potential could be?
Well, it's huge. I think kind of like I talked about there, it's just the defensive side of the game was so strong this weekend. We weren't giving up great looks all the time. We got great goaltending from Stobbs and Messel there, and special teams was on fire, and you just those are recipes that are going to lead to more wins than not, especially in this league, and that leads to a lot of confidence in the room, and guys are feeling good about it. So if we can just continue that kind of play, we're going to have a good chance most nights.
Strong defensive effort in Manitoba. I believe you guys allowed less than 20 shots against Grand Rapids the weekend prior to that. Is that sort of a piece of the identity that's forming with this IceHog group, is being able to hang your hat on the defensive side of things and knowing that it's going to be fine back there?
Well, I just think it's a good starting block. If you're not playing good defense, then you got to get in that run and gun and try and outscore the other team. But we play good defense, you're going to be in every game, and I think that's where it starts, and then you slowly just build the offense as it goes. And so far this season, we've had a group that's bought into that, and that's been good to see for everybody.
On the individual side of things, you are currently in the top 5 in the entire AHL for points per game. I believe you're number 1 because the 3 guys ahead of you have not played in every game this season. What does that mean to you to see yourself contributing so much on the offensive side of things?
Well, I think it's just kind of like I said. It's just the chances have been there. We've scored when we've had them, and like I said, special teams have been great. And this last month has been just a little stretch where I've been a guy getting the last touch on the power play, and it could easily be the other way. Bjorky could have had a couple extra points. I think Daly could have got in there. Obviously, Gus and Scenes have been, consistently on there. But, it's a group effort. And I think 5-on-5 is the same way. You just keep plugging away, and, when you get your chances, make sure you're ready to score.
When you started contributing points even early on when you first came in last year, in the playoffs, is there something that just clicked, when you got here in your game, found a new level, or is it just something with these guys, or what do you think has been the biggest difference?
I like to think I've always been kind of a consistent scorer in the American League. Not, maybe at this level that I've had to start the season, but I always think it's in ebbs and flows. If you're playing the right way, I try and play a 200-foot game, play good defensively, and some nights you're going to score, some nights you hit the post, and first couple games this year have been more goals than not, and so I think just try and bring that mentality every night, and like I said, if it scores, if I score, they score. If not, just keep plugging away.
When you're playing winning hockey, I assume you can't wait to get out there and play the next game. Are you, with that in mind, how thrilled are you guys to finally have a midweek game here to amp up the schedule a little bit here?
Definitely. I know guys are excited. You get into a rhythm, especially with routines and food and different things. So, it'll be good to get a little game practice situation going this week, and try and bring that intensity we've had this weekend in Manitoba to a little homestand here with the next 2.
The fact you're playing Texas, who you ran into in the playoffs last year, does that amp up the intensity a little bit tomorrow?
Well, yeah, I think obviously it's a new year, but every time you're playing a team in your division, you gotta go and get those points. It's it's not just 2 points for us, but it's a 4-point game because you're taking 2 points away from a team against you. So, I think it's always important to come out there and have a good showing, especially early in the season. This will be the first time we play them, so we want to put a good foot forward.
Talking about the chemistry that you guys have built up on the power play to start the year, have you felt like any of that has bled over from, being with the Blackhawks with some of these guys from last season and being in camp over the summer with all these guys?
Yeah, definitely. I think you get to know each other and you get to know each other's games. I think that's the biggest thing is we're all, especially we've had 2 units scoring, and both units are collectively working as a group. And when you're on the same page, it's really easy, and makes having that extra man that much more important and impactful. So, like I said, just making sure we're all on the same page and reading off each other, which we have been, and continue to do that.